I'm Vanessa Joy here with Adorama TV. If you like photo education, definitely hit subscribe and ring the bell. Like these bells, so you get notified and you don't miss a thing. You are coming on a fall photo shoot with me, so let's go. For this shoot, I was photographing Evie, who is a lifestyle Instagrammer and needed new content for her Instagram. Take a baby step this way so I can see your shoes still. Yeah, and I love that. I chose to bring along my Canon EOS R5 because I knew it would do a great job photographing at really 1.2 for the most part and nice low apertures, which matches the style of what's on her Instagram. So we want this kind of going slightly past you. Okay. So if you take one step backwards, like right there, see that crack? Okay. That's your spot. Super cute. I brought along the B10 with the OCF softbox, the 2-foot Octa, and it was perfect for giving a little bit of light and dimension to the photos. So we switched sides specifically because she likes one side of her face, so I'm not gonna fight with her. I want to photograph the side of her face that she likes, so we switched, and then we keep that in mind kind of forever. All right, I love this step. I think we could do something fun here. Yeah, there you go. That's perfect. Love it. I did shoot some natural light, but most of it was shot with off-camera flash so I could really make her photos stand out. My lens choices went back and forth between the 85mm 1.2, the RF version of the lens. I haven't used this lens a lot because, to be honest, I've been a little bit lazy and leaning on the 28-72 lens. That lens is super versatile, but I wanted to really put my 85 to use since that focal length has always been one of my favorites. I was shooting without an assistant, so I had the Lastolite Trigrip that was easily put into place for when I needed to use a reflector and bounce a little bit of light back in her eyes. A lot of these photos have a very different look to them, not typically what you would see from me, and I did play around a little bit with the coloring. More on that later. I'll show you my editing process and what I decided to do with the photos for practical use, but also for fun. There's not much to talk about posing for this video because Evie just did her own thing. Now I do love posing my subjects, but if they're going to show their personality, which a lot of Instagrammers do, I'm gonna let that happen. I'm not gonna fight it. I kept looking for spots where I could have a nice backlight that would act as a hair light for her and then use my B10 as a fill. We did a couple of family shots. Oh my goodness, her son is so cute. He was so easy to photograph. And then of course we got some with her husband as well. Turn towards me a little bit more. Admittedly with this photo, I shot it slightly too shallow, so you can see that the husband is just a little bit soft in the photo. I was so used to photographing her by herself, honestly, I completely forgot to change my aperture. Lesson learned. It's gorgeous. Just get back up again. Towards the end of the shoot, we were able to play with that little bit of bokeh that you see in the back, which was a nice addition to what I was shooting before, where I was really just dodging highlights and trying to make sure that my background was somewhat clean. Now my background is interesting. For our last little spot, I shoved her right in between these two brick walls, which I really enjoyed how the color came out between the brick wall, the blue, and then her orange sweater. So that was a lot of fun. Let's get to editing. Just popping in here to edit some of my favorite photos from the session. Because I know I want to place some global adjustment on the images, I'm importing them with my Joyfully Simple preset. You can find the links for all the presets and tools and brushes that I will use throughout this below, or you can just look at the right side of the screen to see basically what I'm doing. After applying that global preset, I usually come in and just adjust colors for skin tone and brightness. This photo in particular, the sun was causing too many highlights, so I went into my local adjustment brushes and used my Save Highlights preset that I have in there that's basically bringing down the highlights so they're not as distracting. Next up, I wanted to bring your attention to the right side of this photo. See that white overblown line? That is what happens when your camera is not synced up with your strobe, which happened to me because I had updated my camera, the R5, updated the firmware there, and did not update the firmware in my B10. So if that ever happens to you, just wanted to make you aware of it so you know what it is. This photo, I added some retouching right in Lightroom. We'll get more into this and what I typically do in a little bit. Next up is a cute photo, but you can see the line on the right-hand side. So first thing I do is crop it, and then I'm really just exposing this one and the next one the same way, really trying to bring out the skin tones. And I do that a lot of times by adjusting the luminance in the HSL tool. Just helps bring more attention to the subject. Now this photo, I had a little bit of trouble with the skin tones, and all of my adjustments in the HSL weren't really working. So I jumped into one of Lightroom's newer features, the color grading, color balance, and I had a little bit more luck with that, and then being able to go back and make global adjustments so that the photo looked how I wanted it to. Then I spent a little bit of time in face retouching. Again, I'll get to more of that later in a different photo where I do more of it. This photo, I decided to play with black and white, and after changing it to a nice poppy black and white, I just darkened the highlights in her jacket so that her face was the brightest part of the photograph and where the viewer's eye would go directly to. All right, this is a photo I've been promising you guys where I talk about the different face retouching, and I decided to go for my gray day preset. Every once in a while, I just feel that a photo has a mood and I want to do something a little bit different, a little bit fun. So that's what I did here. Then I went ahead and lowered the highlights using the local adjustment brush in the background so they weren't as distracting, and then messed around a little bit with her skin tone so that, again, it was the brightest thing in the photograph. I did smooth skin in the local adjustment brushes, and you will notice that I went over the hands and legs as well. Might as well smooth everything out, otherwise it looks really weird having a face retouched and then the hands and legs don't match, so be careful of that. When I do retouching, it's very slight, so I'm just using my local adjustment brushes. Again, I do sell them. You can grab them in the link below, but all of the settings are right there in the right. I'm doing things like skin smoothing and making sure the eyes are nice and bright, maybe saturate them, getting rid of under eye circles, and well, that's about it. I hope you had fun watching me edit these photos. I'm Vanessa Joy here on Adorama TV. Make sure you hit the bell, hit subscribe, leave some comments, leave some love, and of course, if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. I'll see you next time.